Hello, my name is Dani. I'm an art instructor, and you're tuned in to the Able Arts Work virtual learning channel. Thanks for joining me today. Today, I'm going to show you how to make some paper flowers to hang on your wall to celebrate the start of spring. For this activity, you'll need colorful paper, a pair of scissors, and a pencil. So grab your materials and we can get started. It's going to be really similar to making paper snowflakes, but there's going to be a couple of key differences. So the paper you're probably starting with is going to be rectangular, and we need to make it into a square. So I'm going to take the corner of my paper, pull it down so I'm aligning the top edge of the paper with the side, making it as aligned as possible, and making a crisp fold diagonally. We're going to see there is an extra rectangular piece of paper here, and we're just going to cut that off with our scissors. Now with that first fold done, we're going to fold our paper 2 more times. So I'm going to fold it in half, make a crisp fold, and fold it 1 more time, like so. Now, the most important difference between paper snowflakes and paper flowers is that we want the edges to look like petals. And flowers come in all different shapes and sizes. You might see petals that are long and have a rounded point. You might see petals that are pretty circular. They could even be wavy around the edge or have little slits in them. So let me show you what that could look like. You're going to find the part of the paper that has the individual edges like this. We're not looking at the folds. These would be folds. This is the thickest fold. We're going to find where all of these little edges are, and that's going to be the outer edge of our paper. So we want that part to be rounded or have the outer shape of whatever petal you want. So I'll make this first one really simple, and for the next example we can get it a little fancier. So I'm just going to make an arc with my pencil, and it'll make my petals rounded. So I'm just going to take my scissors and cut out that shape. Next, we know that flowers have a stamen in the center. That's where all the pollen is. So what I'm going to do is find that point that should be opposite of the curve of our petal, and I'm just going to cut a shape out of here. Whether it turns out round or like a star or boxy, it'll still show the center of our flower, and it will be distinct from the color of the petal because the wall behind it will show through. So I'm just going to make a simple curve here. I'm going to keep this first one really basic, and we'll see how that turns out. Now I'm also going to cut out a couple of shapes around the side here, just to give the petals some texture and detail, just to spice them up a little bit. So for this one, I'm going to cut out a couple of triangles. They should fan out like diamonds when we open up our flower. I just want to give my flower some patterns here. So let's open this first flower up and see what we ended up with. Wow! So we've got these beautiful curved petals. You can see that if you want to maintain that petal shape, all you have to do is make a big round arc. And if you cut out the little triangles, you'll get this diamond pattern. Great. So let's do one more together, and then you can go experiment on your own. So for this next one, I'm going to make it a little more complicated. I'm going to use pink paper here, and I want to emulate a cherry blossom. Cherry blossom petals have these little notches in them. So instead of making the outer petals completely rounded, I'm going to cut out little triangles as well, and we can make the petals look really interesting. So once again, we're going to have our paper folded 3 times in total. 2, 3. Now I'm finding the outer part of my petal here. I'm going to use my pencil to help me sketch out the shape I want. So like I mentioned, cherry blossom petals have these little triangular notches in them. So I'm going to pull an arc up, pull a little triangle in, and pull an arc back down. And now I'm just going to take my scissors and cut out that shape, mostly rounded with a little notch in it. And then for the center part, I'm going to cut out a rounded arc again, but I want to experiment and make it a little more interesting. So I'm going to go to the peak of that arc, and cut out a triangle, and when we spread it out, there should be little points flaring out in the center, and I think that'll look really neat. Lastly, I'm going to cut out some circles here. It'll spread some dots across the surface of our flower, which I think could look really delicate and pretty. So when you're making your flowers, try cutting out different shapes. I've been mostly doing circles and triangles, but try cutting out more complex shapes as well. All right, now let's open up our cherry blossom. Wow, I think that looks really cute. So you can see how the different shapes that we cut out resulted in totally different patterns. We've got some pretty different shapes here, but they both read as flowers. So I'm gonna go hang these up on my wall. I hope you had fun making these paper flowers with me, and I hope that you pick some colors and shapes that you like. Check out the other videos on our channel about art, language, and music.